One sec.
Cool. Talista, you're dark. That's cool. It's a good look.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah, much better.
Okay, cool, cool. I'm gonna wait a couple minutes before we begin, see if we get anybody else. But let's just take the good time that we have here now. And look, module 3, I wanted to give to you guys, especially since you've been consistently with me, as like a gift of that's really module 1 and 2 quickly, and then module 3. Did you guys have any questions on the material so far?
I have question, by the way, but it's not related to what we're talking about. I'm like, is it essential to know music theory? I'm like, because I know some of musicians, for example, like the Beatles, they even can't read music, but they can, like make some great music. They use the ear. So which one is the right one? I'm like, using your ear, imagination, or knowing music theory is, like an essential things. Just
That is a great question. Hold on, I'm just going to let some people into the room.
oh.
Leon, how you doing, man? Nice.
Good,
Your face looks all good, man. Damn.
like I've been working on it. Very nice.
Damn. Hey, Leon. We're just going to wait a couple more minutes, but everybody say hi to Leon.
What up, Leon?
Right on, man. Shalisa just asked a question about knowing, being able to know theory and whether it's essential to make music, or can you just do it from your heart and your ear? And I love questions. I get excited on these things. One is the Beatles are arguably the best songwriters of the 20th century. And if you go to Berkeley, you'll study 2 people for 2 years. You study Bach for 2 years in counterpoint, and you'll study the Beatles ad nauseum if you're a songwriter. Now, do they know their theory? Actually, those guys are trained, and they do. And one of the reasons the reason why we love the Beatles is because of George Martin. All the trumpets and that kind of stuff made them who they were. Now, the Beatles put out an album called Revolver, where they said we didn't like George Martin's work. And that's not the one that stands the test of time. Sgt. Pepper's High Club's Band does. And so that's what happens if you know your theory. You can take someone who's raw in the power, and you can create something like that. If you listen to the first couple Beatles albums, they're just hillbilly rock tunes from America. They're just blues tunes. Love, love me do. Not a lot there. George Martin comes in and he transforms them to the point that, like, I've played every single Beatles tune in existence. You know what I mean? Like, that's how much important they are. Now let's go to your other question, Lisa, before I start, because it was a fun one. I really believe singing from the heart. And when you get to the end of it, Shalisa, what happens is this. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, le, so, fa, mi, re, do, ti, do, re, mi, la, so, mi, re, do, la, do, do. Do, re, mi, la, so, mi, re, do, 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 do. That's why ear training is so important, is anytime I hear something, I learn it. I'm going down the street, I'm learning, I'm educating myself. I can play my wife's, everything's music. So it comes back to that. But, if you brought me a piece in E-flat harmonic minor and you wanted to modulate it a minor second, as a professional, you got to know the tools. The last thing, please, I'm going to say it on is you want to know French? You want to know cooking? What other thing do people go in and say, I'll be better at it if I don't learn anything about it, because I don't want to taint myself? What's the other subject that people do that with? You can do it with music?
I don't think so. But...
Well, it's a thought. So I hope that answers your question a little bit.
Yeah.
Cool. And my thing is this, and I've been talking to Brev this week, man, good conversations. And I always love the maturity of someone who realizes the importance of ear training, that it really boils down. Everything can come out of that.
I see.
Like, you're looking for the golden ticket, ear training. Nothing exciting about it.
I do.
Okay, cool. All right, guys. So,
thank you.
Oh yeah, no worries. And I want to say this is if you want to talk later about any of that, and I can turn you on to some methodologies for ear training that make it really, it's a gradual path to get it in your heart.
Cool. Thanks, mate.
Yeah, man. And just to continue on that, this theory essentials for DJs and producers, that's one of the reasons why I really focus on the pentatonic scale. So, re, mi, so, mi, re, do, la. Get those 5 notes in your head, and you can walk around and sing 90% of the melodies that are out there. Okay, so let's see here. Now I got all excited. Let's start. Welcome, guys. I'm not going to go through the ritual of who you are and what you want to do in this life. I feel like we've done that 3 times now. And I also I'm really excited about today. I've given you all of these components, and I think today is the time to take a breath back and to show you pragmatically how you can build these and start to manipulate them. Okay? This is, as I said before, also, anybody who wants these materials, send me an email. I'm going to put my email in the chat right now. And I'll send you all of the links, etc. like that, PDFs, for you to be able to get these materials for you to have as reference. Okay? I also can include audio examples of like the chord changes and stuff like that, so you can look at it and hear it. You know, my fantasy is that producers, you're like, all right, let's get that graph of the 1, 4, 5 changes. We put it up when we do work. Okay, let's see here. Bum, bum, bum. As you know, my name is Martin Case, Director of Curriculum. I've worked all over the world. I really believe in theory essentials for DJs because I want to give you guys powers concisely. Bum, bum, bum. I just want to jump right into it. So, my thought is this. Do we know from Module 1, I'll pull this stuff up so you can see. Okay, good people. So here's a couple things. This is where we are as far as the modules go. We've created melodies using these pentatonic scales, right? That was the big one. The major and the minor pentatonic scale. So when someone says C major to us now, we realize that we can do C major, C minor, A minor, and if we throw in an E flat, we can do A minor blues. That's how we think about things. Now what we've done is, more than any other musicians that we know, we suddenly have latitude. Not many musicians you talk to say, suddenly I can do 3 keys in the same time, in the same space. Moving into harmonic progressions, this is where we really started drilling into our 1, 4, 5 concept and realizing how that's the base. So our pentatonic scale and our 1, 4, 5 is kind of the root of all of this matter. Combining how they go with tensions, and then we moved into our substitutions and other theories and stuff that I'm going to show you today. The other modules that we have going on is 5 through 10, a review where you take the materials from 1 through 4 and 6 through 9 respectively, and you put them into a body of work. Number 6 is polyrhythmic techniques, 3/2, 6/4, a lot of West African principles in here. Some of these rhythms are designed to destroy linear thought, so it puts you susceptible to an ecstatic state, which is where everybody really wants to be. And our ancestors from West Africa have that, and I've had the honor to learn those, plus other countries I'd like to pass on. Which brings us into global awareness, literally glowing around the globe, having humility and insight, and saying, okay, this is the scales they use, the rhythms. Let me lose my ego and what I like, absorb this in, and then it becomes part of my work. Move without moving. This has a lot to do with your bass lines, and it has a lot to do with inversions. And this is where we start to take harmonic qualities to our melodies, so we don't have single note melodies anymore. Counter melodies, stuff like that. Think of it as like contemporary Bach. Now, this is where we are now. Module 1. I'm so psyched that everybody's been here. Module 1 is notes of the treble and the bass clef. It's notes on the piano. Those graphs I showed you. And it's the sense of time. Whole notes, half notes, 16ths, 32, 64ths, and the like. We talked about the major and the minor pentatonic scale, how they're the same notes, you just have a different tonal center, right? We also, just because I think it was Brev wanted to know about blues stuff, if you take the minor scale, let's take A, pentatonic minor, put it in E flat, that's the E flat. No, it's not part of the pentatonic scale. It's a hard chord tension. But you know that now. So now when you use it, you're like, right. You know, right? That's just it. Is you develop a relationship. This is how I teach. Is this expresses our lives and emotions and all that kind of thing. So every component has an emotional thing for me. Like just for fun. C to E. It's a major third. Mi, a minor third. Do, mi. And just the way I sing it is something you get more out of just its theoretical application. People have their own stories and how they feel, and I elicit that, but I also offer some of my own. Now, we move on to where we talk to with Module 2. How to contract chords in major and minor. Okay? We're going to go over that again today. I think that's important. How we structure this stuff out, stacking in thirds. And we have solidity knowing 1, 4, 5 is always major and major. 1, 4, 5 is always minor and minor. We go over these, we show the application. This is the stuff that we showed in Logic. Module 3, these are the reviews that we've done. And what we did that was exciting in Module 3 is we took the 1, 4, 5, and what we realized was this. If we're playing a C major chord, everybody else plays C major. I know I can play that E minor and that A minor on both sides of it. Hold on, guys, I gotta let somebody in. And by knowing that I can do that with the 1 chord, I also realize I can do that with the... Mark, how are you? Just waiting for you, Mark. How are you? We're going to wait for Mark to connect in. But what we realize is that if we can substitute for the 1 chord, the relative minor, and a third up, we can do it for all 3 of those chords. Today we're going to talk about all of those concepts that we're going to go over. Plus we're going to talk about the use of ostinato. Now ostinato is just a single line, like this.
Okay.
It's a driving force through. And it's funny. I've been listening. Mark, how are you?
G'day, mate. How are you?
Good, good. Just want to check sound, brother. Good, good. You came at the right time. What we're doing is we're just reviewing the modules that we've all gone over previous, and then we're going to talk about some of the new stuff.
Great.
Cool. So with this idea of ostinato, we think about the tools that we have now. We have the pentatonic scale, major and minor. We've got our chords. Because we have our chords, we also know how we can build our arpeggios. We also have the arpeggios, we have an ostinato. What we're going to do today is review all that stuff, but combine all of that material in a pragmatic way so you can see how it's actually played and used as a menu. Hold on a second, people. Oh, and I want to say this. We've been hanging out for a while here. This stuff is really dense. When I went to college, I always had no problem to raise my hand and say, I don't understand this, let's stop. Because probably someone else is in the same situation. I have an obnoxious American accent, and when I get excited, I talk too fast. All right, so here we are. I want to assume that we remember the way of the pentatonic scales and that we remember how to build chords, right? Do I need to review that, or could we move right on to here? Somebody talk to me. Should I review, or can I go on from here?
What are we reviewing?
Sure. I'm trying to see what we need to kind of double back on. And I'm saying that we know the idea of the pentatonic scale, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Now, do we remember how to construct chords by stacking them in thirds?
Yes.
Yep, all good.
Okay, cool. Right on. Okay. So now here we are, right? Backbone. I'm just going to use C major for now, and I'm going to show you an A minor in a minute. Mark, I always talk in the keys of C and A. I think your theory is hard enough. You know what I mean? So we
Yeah, all good. Yeah, I understand.
Yeah, so here we are on the 1, 4, 5. Now, you got to think like cooks. We all know 1-4-5 in major minor. We understand it intellectually, but do you taste it yet? Do you hear it yet? Have you hung out with it enough? So if I was playing piano, talking to you guys in my mind, right, before the session, and I was like, what progression is that?
1-4-5, yeah?
Thank you.
1-4-5.
I was gonna guess that as well, but
Right. Now,
yeah,
but now
nice.
you can sing in your heart. Doom doom boodum gada boodum gada. Now let's just go into minor, right? Before I continue. Doom 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 ba ba doom ba ba da. One chord, then 4-4, then 5-5. Now you have it in your heart. Do, fa, sol. After you get that, do, mi, so, fa, re, do, so, te, re. That's another step when I get ahead of myself. So let's come back, right? We're on the 1-4-5. Now, this is where we start to realize, like, everything works, okay? And you have two notes, the concept of tension and release. Now, tension and release is where your artistry is different than mine. If we look at the chords 1-4-5, we can see here on the graph, the blue notes are the chord tones, okay? If you're playing a progression and your note is on the chord, and you're playing a chord tone, that's fine. It's in the chord, so you're gonna be fine, okay? So know that as an acceptable note for your melody. Now, if we look at what happens over here, the red notes are the chord, non-chord tones, or tensions. Now, as we've said, D, re, wants to fall to C, re, do. F wants to fall to E, fa, mi. 6-5, la, sol, 7-1. Ti, do. Think in terms of nature, how they want to fall. Now, the reason this is important is if I'm playing that C, that D on a C chord, it's a tension. But when I move on to the G chord, it's not a tension. And you got to think about it this way. The harmony is the earth, the ground. The tree is the melody. So we're moving the ground. So if I'll show you an example. I'm going to sing the note re with the C chord, and then I'm going to change to a D chord. Re, re, re. Did you hear how it felt tension and then it released, but I didn't change singing my note? Yeah,
Yep.
you guys, just for fun, get your vocalist, male or female vocalist, to hold a long note, because they don't know it's coming, and you just build crazy stuff around them, you know? Or one of the things I like to do is I'll write a pentatonic scale, and I'll give them major chords underneath, so they sing it all happy, and then when they're gone, I rip out the chords and I put it in minor. You know what I mean? These are the fun ways you can use these techniques. So, as we've said, here's tension, here's release. Now, this is one thing I want to say relative to this 1-4-5 progression. The pentatonic scale, plus that graph that I showed you last time with the chordal substitutions, works seamlessly if you continue to use the pentatonic scale. Now, if you get excited, and you'll see here in this graph that F and B are acceptable chord tones when you play these chords. It's true, you'll be fine there. But if you start to do substitutions and stuff like that later, you might run into problems. Not the end of the world. We're not doing physics here. But what I'm trying to do is hook it up as you'll see when I show you on the logic, I have the melody repeated like 9 times. And I have all these chordal variations like a menu underneath. And if you want to work that way, this is one of the ways to do that. Now, boom, boom. Here we are in C major, okay? Here's the same thing over for F, A minor. Now this is what's really interesting, right? Is you can see where these things change. Now we know, because we've all hung out before, that C and A you can change, you can interchange, right? But if you're writing a 1-4-5 and you're on it, say you're playing an A, if you use the A minor chord, that's a chord tone. No, no. But if you substitute the C, it becomes a tension. No. Does that make sense? You following this so far?
All good.
Yeah?
All good.
Okay, good. And I want to say this is, they're called non-chord tones or tensions. Only as I've gotten older, I like the word tensions, because it is
Awesome.
tension. Mark, you up?
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, no, it's good.
Oh, thanks, Ben. Yeah. I don't like the term I didn't like the term tensions because I like to hang out there. And I'll give you an example. So I'm just going to play a C major chord in all tensions. Love that sound. And that's just because when I was 19 to 22, I was being a dick. They're like, the tensions must resolve down and you must have release. And I was like, nah, I don't take a decade off that, man. You know? And I think what you really need to do is, in this short time that we've been able to hang out, I'm giving you a powerful amount of tools, but I also want you to be rebellious.
But
and break the rules.
okay, can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Is it important to build tension in one chord, even if you play simple chord?
No. Play with all the varieties. I said Bach the other day, meaning when I was talking about the 1-4-5 and not use of tensions. But no. And I have examples when I use that melody where you can see it falls all with no tensions. Like in here, listen to this, 1-4-5, A minor, no tensions. Obviously extremely useful. Also known as arpeggios.
Yeah. I
Right.
see.
Like
I can
here,
hear
watch
that.
this. Here's the A, right? And I actually did this for today's composition. 4 chord. 5 chord. Right? That's where your arpeggios go. Yeah. What we're talking about is how melodies work, but Jalise, to keep the good questions coming. And I'm going to put that in my notes to tell good people when I talk to them in the future. If you want killer arpeggios that are just like gorgeous seams of perfect water coming out, use all chord tones.
I see.
Yeah, well, cool. All right. Any questions, or are we good here?
Great for brass.
Yeah. Boom. And you know what's funny, Mark, is when we get into inversions and you start stacking that in first inversion, so it's thirds and sixths, then you get that kind of sound.
Oh, yeah.
Hell yeah. Let's check this out. Mark, you got me excited. If I play...
Spencer Davis.
Yeah, I'm not supposed to talk about inversions, but just to show you the power. Here's a C major chord, 1-3-5 normal. Here's what Mark's talking about, stacking it in first position. Powerful sound, right? And so what I do is Mark gives it an great example. He's like, first inversion chord, he's thinking, okay, brass. For me, I always think about Brahms and organs. You know, but again, we have a cultural reference that means those things have meaning. One of my favorite was this for ear training, and I know I'm kind of going off subject, but to know Ra, I had a hard time. So I was like, do, do, Ra, do, 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 ti, di, Ra, do, do. I was like, right, metal bands, good metal bands. And then when I lectured this to my students, I go, how do you remember Ra? They go, we remember you going Ra, do, do, ti, ti, Ra, do, do. Right? Right. It's singing, it's joy. So now that we have the 1-4-5 in our head, okay, what we did, and this is still a review. Oh, hold on a second, guys. I'll show you this example first. Now, Shalisa, this comes back to your idea of tensions and releases and stuff like that, right? By the way, really great conversation on using only chord tones for arpeggios. But here we are on the 1-4-5, and we realize that C major and A minor can be switched outside of each other. So this is the melody, right? And it goes like this, right? That's the 1-4-5. That should sound familiar to you now, right? And this is how the melody happens to go against that. The first one's a tension. The rest are chord tones. So it has that angelic quality, right? Now what you're seeing here, though, is not A, D, E. It's a substitution of C. So I'm going to play it once as A, D, E, 1-4-5, and then I'm going to play the first substitution. Here's C, D, E substitution. Sorry. Sorry. Can you hear the difference? Can you hear the difference between the major and the minor chord there and how that works?
Yeah, that's good.
Okay, good. It's so funny. I'm trying to get it across, playing it all at the same time. So yeah, it's important that you guys hear this stuff rather than just think it. So now moving on, right? Let's look the other way. Okay, so here what's interesting, and this is the fun thing, you can switch these things around. Here's the 1-4-5 in minor, right? But I switched the first chord, and I got these tensions to switch around to chord tones and non-chord tones. So you can think about it. It's a menu. Do you want it to be a chord tone or non-chord tone? Because these are interchangeable. You know that now. Now let's look at this. This is the 1-4-5. This is the one that I just pulled up, right? 1-4-5 is usually C, F, and G, and this is what it will sound like. Here's substitution of that C for A, the relative minor. You can see it has power. In fact, what happens is you're expecting it to drop to C. It's something, whoa, you drop down to A. Right? Okay. Let's see here. Are we good? Can I continue? Cool.
Okay.
Good, cool.
Yeah, all good, mate. All good.
Thanks, brother. Yeah, all we were talking about, Mark, when you weren't around, was a substitution on 1-4-5 where you could take the C major and put it in an A minor, right? And if you're on a 1-4-5 in minor, you can take the minor, you can throw in a major. So those two examples right there. This is usually A, D, E. Now it's C, D, E, A, F, G. It's usually C, F, G.
Yep.
Mark, love you, buddy. I just want to catch you up so you're not in the way. I don't like to leave anybody behind.
Sorry, mate. No, appreciate it, mate. No.
Yeah,
sorry,
we got a good crew here. Now, guys, this is where I got really excited last time to the point I almost stopped speaking, right? Now, let's just take this one here. We'll take our minor one first. This is A, D, and E. Boom. That's our 1-4-5. We realize now, if we can do that for one chord, we can do it for all three chords. And what we realize is A, C is the relative major. The one that we don't think about is the other way. Now, the reason these are substitutions is if you're in front of a keyboard, think about it. Put your hands on the notes A, C, and E, right? Now, if you just add a G at the top of that, Christ, that's the G chord, C chord. Hold down A, C, and E again, and then push the F below the A. Well, that's only one note away from an A chord. That's why they can interchange. Right. They're that close. Now, that's like me saying I've got sugar, molasses, honey. You know what I mean? I got a lot of different sugars. Because I think we both know C major and A minor are not the same. But if you know what you're doing, you can move these worlds. One of my favorite ones is this. I'm just going to talk to you as mates. Is when you I like to substitute an F for the A. And I'll show you what I mean. That's the A. Listen to the F. Oh, just love it.
Nice.
Obviously,
Yeah, that's mad.
say what?
That's nice.
Mate,
That's really nice.
I'm almost crying. Like, I've been thinking about this for years, how to get through to you guys really easy, right?
Magic.
What
Magic.
happens is, if you use this graph, and you're like, okay, plug it in, and then you can be like, no, that sucks. I like that. And then to go back and to be like, okay, articulate, what do I like? I like substituting rather than the relative major for A, the third below. Screw you. That's my taste. That's what I'm going to do on this album. You know what I mean? And just remember, I want you guys to be selfish because the next module, theoretically, is you're putting this into your work. This is all about you and your work and how you can use this. I like that tool. Put a note, circle back, right? So now if we realize this with this graph, A, D, and E, and all these are interchangeable, I could go like this, A, F, E, F, D, C, F, B, E. I wrote out a small amount of permutations. Then I'm going to ask again, and I'll confess, not the smartest at math, good at other things. Does anybody know what all the possible permutations would be on that kind of a graph? 3 by 3, 9 variables. Would it be 9 times 9, like 81 variables?
Yeah, I was thinking 90. It would be close to 90 something, wouldn't it?
Yeah, right? I mean, again, we're recording and just showing my bad math skills. But mate, even if it's half that, 42 variables you haven't heard? Gorgeous. They all work with whatever melody you make, full stop. Okay? So this is me just writing down some of the permutations, right? Blah, 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 going through. I could have kept going and kept going. I have my own personal favorites. I'm not going to tell them to you. You got to check them out your own. I already gave you that F thing, right? All right. And on the same level, here we are as far as C, F, and G go. You can have A, you can blow the whole thing off, and there you are, your relative minor. Right? And so and then these are our possible permutations. Again, these can go ad nauseum. But I'm just going to take, let's see, C, F, G. I'm going to do, let's see here. Oh, A, F, G? No. I'm going to do E, F, G just to listen to it, right? So this is C, F, G. Here's E, F, G.
So with the AFJ, sorry to butt in for a second. So you've got is that A chord on the sort of low? Is that like a low chord A something?
Yeah, let's talk about that, right?
Yeah, that'd be.
So that first one, right? What it is I decided that's the first simple one, right? I decided it is by one of my favorites, by the way.
Come in.
That's the one that instead it goes like.
Oh, thank you very much.
Right, just drops right down there. That's A, F, G. And Leon, that's this right here. Bang, 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 over here. So that's what A, F, G is. It's a substitution for the C. That make sense, brother?
Yeah, sort of. I was a bit distracted then as well. For
I saw that.
I
saw that. All you did was we all cultivated patience and waited for you, buddy. No one's in a rush. Traffic is light today. All right? So here we are on CFG. And the first thing I did was, the first permutation was I replaced the C with the A.
Yep.
So that's that combination there. And then I said, screw it. I'm going to go the other way. EFG. Now what I didn't do is I didn't take my combination of chords here and put them all wacky, okay? Because then I wouldn't have a reference point. I changed each one and tasted it as a flavor.
So the EFG, for example, that you just said, that would be the chord.
Yeah. Well, E would be the chord, then
Is the
F
chord.
would be the chord, and G would be the chord. Each of these is a
Right.
chord, not a note mate.
Yeah.
Now, don't get me wrong. These can all just be your bass notes, too. That was A, D, E. A going low and then up to A. A. But these are chords. So each chord has three notes. So you got. That's me arpeggiating with 1, 4, 5.
Right. Yeah. I think that makes more sense now.
Yeah. As far as thinking about chords and bass lines, this is beyond the scope of this course, but just want to give you little tidbits. Bass lines like to have like larger intervals between them, not seconds and thirds. Fifths. Think fifths with bass, like this. Here's do, right? And if I think a fifth above, it's like that punch that we talked about. That's just a classic thing for bass, which I'll move into, in other modules and other conversations. Now, again, this is how these, permutations can go and go forward. Now, I can send this to you, but I want you to look at this screenshot, this shot right here. The font looks imposing, but we've only hung out. This is our 4th time hanging out, And you can see why I get excited. I'm like, okay, my name is blah, blah, and I know you, blah, blah. Let's just kick into the good stuff. Commend yourselves before we go further on the list that's in front of you. Major scale, minor scales, pentatonics, full chord construction, 1, 4, 5 in minor and major. We talked about that 1, 6, 1, right? Remember we had that progression because we know C minor and C major and A minor are intertwinable. And then down here, these are all the permutations that we talked about. So that's a good amount of material, yes?
Yes.
Yeah. Mark, how is this coming? Making sense?
Yeah, no, it's good. No, it's very good.
Cool. So now what I want to do is I'm going to go over the material that we've gone through the first 3 kind of modules. And then this 4th one, I kind of built some new stuff just to show you guys. Now, when we started, remember I used to have that Sonos track, the Ableton track in the background? I've been taking that out more and more as the modules go on because I think I don't need to sell you. I don't need to entice you. I think we're excited about the theory. We know we can put that on afterwards. Now, hold on a second, guys. I'm just getting the screens ready for you. All right. So I want you to think about these as variables, pretty much what I've given you. If you were a cook, I'd say I've given you a bunch of different spices, some real meat. Now I want to see what you're going to make. If this was a martial art room, I'd be like, there's your crossbows, there's your long swords, there's your short swords, there's your dojo, there's your tools. Now, what kind of person are you? I don't know, but I gave you all the tools. So now we're going to start to move around with them. Now, good people, I want you to think about these as the variants, okay? Hold on. Think about these as the variants I'm going to show you. These are the tools that I've given you. One is we have our chord progression, okay? 1, 4, 5, or we can move it with one of the variants that I've shown you, messing with the 1 chord, the 4 chord, or the 5 chord. We got the pentatonic scale in play, boom. As you can see here, I'm walking you through variations I've done with the tune, okay, with the melody. The first variation that I've chose is E, F, G. So instead of sounding like this, mine sounds like this. I I just like that for more power, right? That's my substitution. Now the second variation, it's an additive process I'm doing here. I'm taking nothing out, okay? The second process is, and this isn't just me being fun, because I know that I can exchange these, what if in the bass I put in all substitutions against the chords that I was doing? So the bass notes, right? What I decided to do, I'm not going to blow up the world, but the original progression is 1, 4, 5 in C major. For the one chord, you know, for the arpeggios, for the synth lines, for the guitar, you know, I substituted a C for an E, I mean E for a C. And in the bass, I substituted for the F an A. So the bass line is going to go like this. And then the chords on top are this. I know it works because it's pentatonic scale and all these things can move around. Ladies and gentlemen, I kind of built this so that if you were to write a piece and you didn't listen to it at all, you could sell it guaranteed. You don't worry. What I've done is I've taken away from you when you compose now, when you hit note velocity, there's no hesitation. You know that you're going to sound good. Okay? Now, from after this, I've got this thing built. I put underneath the whole thing a major ostinato. Just a single note just running through. And I want you to realize the power of that on the piano. So if I'm playing a minor chord, if I suddenly put a C major ostinato in, wow, I just took that A minor chord and went boom. Now it's still beautiful on the top. And this is what I talked about. If we know that we can use major and minor at the same time, we can have this beautiful duality and sophistication using a very simple language of the pentatonic scale in these chords. So what I just did there was I put A minor on the top, and I played a C major ostinato. Now, I take the same variation, and I put an A minor on the ostinato. This is what you're going to hear behind you. So you can feel how that changes. Just changing this. And look what I haven't changed. The melody hasn't changed. I haven't messed with any of the chords. I kept the same bass line. Then I take a C major ostinato, but I put a major minor arpeggio. And Chalisa, remember you asked me about what does all chord tones sound like? That's exactly what I did here. That's the definition of that. I go A, C, and E, full length of the piano all the way down, but a C major in the bass. And I'll show you what it sounds like by itself. Right? Tell me that's not cool. Like, don't lie to me, because I think it's cool. Now, if we flip that around, right? I'm gonna put a minor ostinato in the bass, and I'll put a major cascading on top. Does that make sense? Cool. Now, this is what I wanted to say to you. Oh, Mark,
Yep.
you good?
Ostinato again.
I'm sorry, say it again, Brad.
Could you just define what an ostinato is again?
Yeah, an ostinato is like a repeating line or a phrase that's kind of driven. In contemporary music, it's usually just like a single note thing. Some kind of phrase that repeats back, that gives it that kind of like just straight across color. When you hear long strings going, or you hear a synth line, it's like that would be like an ostinato. Does that help, Brad?
Yeah, for sure. Thank you.
Cool. And I'm going to show you some examples. So I wrote this out for you guys so you could specifically see. These are the variables that I'm playing with right now. Scales, pentatonic, major, minor. For those that are interested, throw in that blues note. Chords, 1, 4, 5, zillions of permutations. I can mess with the bass on top of the chords, more permutations, using the same graph. Throw out an ostinato, throw in some arpeggios, boom. Now I'm going to show you behind. and I can't stress this enough, the melody hasn't been messed with. None of the chords or the basses have been messed with other than one altercation. And just doing this right now, this seems pretty bass, but wait till you hear how it all goes together. Any questions, or can I move on? Good? Cool.
Yeah, good.
Now, let's bring that back, but I just want to dork out with some people here. In the first module, I talked about time and how to take time and to shorten it down to get this sound here. Just going to do a little bit of the background track for context. Now, I had shown that as why I don't use the hemi-demi semi-quaver concept, but I think 16, 32, 64, 128, 256, 512, 1024, 2048, those are all note divisions. Use them all the time. Do you know how cool it is to take a vocalist and you just move her voice 1024th note early or late? It's awesome. Like, I use those. You can't write those with notation, which is why when people are like, oh, I don't read sheet music. I'm like, okay, well, we're probably not going to play a 19th century piece all the time. You know, join the real world. As you can see, I'm working a lot on piano scale. Now, for those, who's you working in Logic here? Anybody working in Logic?
I'm new to Logic. I just installed that today.
Oh, interesting. Well, I'm just going to show you this feature, which is if you take the line and you double click on it, okay, you're going to get this underneath called the piano roll. You select it in here, and under function, you're going to see this MIDI transform. Inside there, you'll see half speed or double speed. So you take a whole note, you go double speed, goes into a half, copy paste that, do it again, it's a quarter, do it again, it's an eighth, do it again, it's a 16th, do it again, it becomes a motorcycle. Substitute snare, put in a person laughing.
Sounds like a cat.
Yeah, who knows what it sounds, right? You know.
All
right, so one thing I also want to say, because I know we're all using different DAWs, is every day I have Logic pulled up. I mean, I have Google pulled up, and I type Logic : question mark. That's how I get a lot of my answers to my DAW stuff. All right, so moving on here. This line here of this Ableton track, pretty much from here to here, is the stuff that we've covered in the past. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk you through what some of these components are. This was our time variations, okay? That's the one we just went over. We just talked about time. And remember, how I look at music is notes over time. That's why our first conversation really was about time, okay? Moving on, what we have here is we have the melody is in blue, okay? And these right here are just pentatonics, okay? They're not chord progressions. This is the melody just sitting on a C chord, and this is the melody on an arpeggio just sitting on an A minor, okay? As we move along, this is going to move our melody into a 1-4-5 with C major, so you feel that. 1-4-5, so you can feel that in minor. And then what we have here is our first hybrid, where we have a minor progression underneath 1-4-5. We slam the major pentatonic on top of it. Boom. And then here, we go from the minor progression back to the major progression with a major pentatonic on top of the arpeggio. And those arpeggios, Chalisa, are C, E, and G. Or if they're A minor, it's A, C, and E. And I keep them that clean so when they go fast, it just like hums as a chord. Any questions on what you're about to hear and what we've mapped out? Cool? All right. I'll talk you through as we go. So here's our time variations. Melody against the C pentatonic. C arpeggio. Now that's where it drops to the minor arpeggio. Same melody. This is darker, it's minor. Still not a progression. One, four, five in C. Major key. Same melody. One, four, five in minor. Same melody. The next progression is C major, A minor, oscillating. Think Hallelujah, Katie Lang. Live it up. Are we good? That's all stuff that we've talked about and experienced before. It's funny, guys. I taught this university, one of my first jobs when I got to Australia. And I walked in to teach music theory. And yeah, I really give thanks. It was a great job. My job was to analyze the top level of theory and harmony they had, realign it to Berkeley's curriculum so students could matriculate. But when I walked in to go teach into the class, there was no piano. You know, I was like, how am I supposed to get kids excited about theory if there's no piano here? And then I was like, this is how we teach. And I go, yeah. I had to go a flight down every time I get to work early to haul a piano in.
Really?
And we're all singing and laughing and doing a good time, but you got to get in the kitchen. Look, I didn't have to build all this stuff. I built this stuff so I could see your faces go, damn. You go, right, be selfish. You want this. You know, check this out. We've hung out long enough together, good people, that I think I can shut the background track. We get what that is, right? Now, what that Ableton track is this. I'm not being dismissive. What I'm saying to you is there are different ways to write. One is you can go into Ableton and have your mind blown and inspired, and then you bring it into here like this, okay? Because you can always, you can do it in a 2-track, and then you can always go back in and adjust it as you want. Or you can build like this, and then at the end, create the whole Ableton world on top. Doesn't really matter how you go to it. You see what I'm saying? But for now, and for the gift I'm trying to give you, I want to focus on just this aspect. Now, see if I can line this up. Yeah, I think I got it. Okay, thanks for your patience. What you're looking at is this. This is variation 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and variation 6. Okay? Now, good people, I wanted you to hear this in experience. I wanted you to see this graph. I hope you're taking screenshots or you asked me for this. These are grids you can plug stuff into. Now, what happens is, the way that I was taught is if you're able to understand and learn theory, what happens is this. You intellectually understand it and learn it, and then it immediately becomes part of your viscera. You suddenly feel it. You know what I mean? Like when I was doing the 1, 4, 5, and I played the E chord. Or, no, when I was doing the A minor chord, and I played that F instead. And everybody went, yeah. That's your answer for substitution for F for the rest of your life. Like you hear it, now you have it. You don't have to explain salt to me anymore. You don't have to explain, condensed sugar. I got it, man. But I had to be there first. So this first permutation, and again, the melody is the same. I've done one permutation changing the 1, 4, 5 just to the E. And then in the bass, what I did with the 1, 4, 5, I did one permutation where I changed the F to an A, right? That gives me this duality going on. That's the first variation here. The first variation is without putting in the contrary bass. Second variation, I put in the bass. Third, that red that you see here, that's that ostinato line. Fourth variation, as you can see, that ostinato line changes to A minor. Here's where we start to have our duality. And as I'll say in every lecture, we're not Disney creatures. You know, I'm a bad man who has good thoughts. I'm a good man who has thoughts I'm even embarrassed about myself, you know. And we're all like that. We all have good days and bad days. You know, I don't know if you can see in my studio, there's a Buddha head right by the door there. And sometimes I wish I should get a tattoo of it, you know, deep inside my brain on my arm or on my forehead to remind me, you know, to get my stuff together. You know, and that's how I like to express things. So that's where I'm starting to say here. Personally, I really love this. I really love it. A C major ostinato and an A minor arpeggio shooting up. You know, I just find the duality obviously beautiful. And so without further ado, check this out and I'll walk you through. So I left these up here so you can see, and what I'd really like to do, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, if capable, is shut up and just have you hear it. That was a laugh, joke, just don't worry about it. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Oh, hold on. Go ahead and speak, brother.
I'm speechless. That sounds cool. That sounds really cool. That's, yeah, nice.
Thanks, brother. Like a couple things. Shalisa, you asked me if it's important to know theory. I mean, this is just two hours of theory. And look at the beauty that you can create. You know? Imagine if we hung out for 2 years, you know, like there's amazing amount of stuff that you can get. But again, my desire here is to make this as concise and you can just get your hands on it. And if you use this, what happens is eventually you start to hear it. And you don't need these graphs. You got it all in your heart, okay? And I want you guys to know this. See where I did the repeat where I said this is module 4? That took me 20 minutes today.
Mm.
And that's what? 2 minutes, 3 minutes of produced music on a track. Took me no time. Because I knew what I wanted. I wanted it to sound beautiful and sad. I wanted it to sound combined. I wanted to have minor arpeggios cascading through. I wanted a C major making you feel uplifting through, driving like a nail on piano through. I knew my melody would work perfect. I knew I couldn't screw with it too much, so I did conservative permutations, found what I liked. Done. Next tune, next client.
good workflow.
Cool. Yeah, yeah. And but what's funny is I think you can hear it doesn't sound like I'm like doing the Acme stuff. Like this sounds narcissistic, but when I played this, listening to sorry, go ahead, Leon.
No, sorry, I didn't mean to butt in. You keep going.
No, I'll remember.
Are you talking about that piece you played at the end then?
Yeah, all those 4 permutations. It took me about half an hour today.
Yeah, well.
Yeah.
Especially the last 2, they sound really pretty.
Mm-hmm.
And then you got like the 4th one was a bit more like, it sort of needed that little bit extra, like which the 5th and the 6th had.
Yeah, you know what, Mesa? Let's talk those through so you can have them for your notes, okay? Because you're like, okay, selfish. I like that. So what those was variation 4. The reason it was so powerful, I put an A minor, badass, low piano note right through it. A, just crushes it. You know what I mean? And it's just like, on top of it, you see I have a 1-4-5 progression with an altercation, but it's major. That's why it's so beautiful. There's this major chord progression soaring at the top with melody, and the A's is like, no, life still sucks. No, you're still going to die. Yeah, there's still fear. Yeah, you might have a nice job and a wife and a husband and all that, but meteors come, man. We all know it. Nice, happy day. Boom. It's like driving down the highway on a summer day, right? And you're just having a beautiful time, but you're like, it just takes that one car accident and we're all wiped out. That's what you think when you drive. That's what that sound is. That's the sound of having a major progression with a minor bottom of your gut thing. When you put a C major in the bass, right, and you have that A minor, that's a kind of like hopeful anguish reaching, which we're all doing right now. You're all here trying to become better in yourselves. We all know that 20 years from now, 10 years from now, we're going to look back and be like, you are an obnoxious, immature little shit. If you don't, you're not growing. Like, we're all there. The 5th permutation, which I think is really exciting, is it's using, and Shalise, I don't know why, you're like my arpeggio person for today, is using just chord tones, cascade down. Now, what I did was, I did that cascade as a C major ostinato. So in other words, whatever chords are going through, I don't give a shit. It's going to work, right? But if I wanted, I could go per chord and build those arpeggios. Does that make sense? Cool. I'll say that again. What you heard today was a C major arpeggio or an A minor arpeggio cascading over the chord progression. Because I don't care. I know it's going to work. Right? Pentatonic scale, chord. What I could have done is gone each chord and then cascaded with that arpeggio, with the chord tones. So I'm going over the 1, cascade, 4, cascade, 5, cascade. One thing I've been having really fun doing in my mixes, listen to this. So that was the 5 and the 1. But what I've been doing is, this is me just talking to you as mates, just for fun, right? Is I've been taking the songs, and it's like chord and then the next chord. I've been overlapping them a little like that. Just for a second, right? And I'll show you what I mean with like the C major and the A minor chord. So here I'm in C major. I'm gonna put an A minor chord right underneath at the same time. Now I'm going to substitute that A for F, because we talked about that and I like it. Then I'm going to put that in there. I could talk to you guys for years on this stuff. And I get excited about it. And look, I'm looking at 50, and one of the reasons I feel so excited, I don't even know how to express this.
I could just listen as well. So
say what?
I could just listen as well for years. Like I'm like,
yeah.
My head feels like it's getting bigger and bigger by the second.
Brother, and like what I just did there, simple. I put it on a triad. What you just heard was this triad in C major. And then I put the triad in A minor on it, but at the same time. Right? And then I said, F the A minor one, I'm going to substitute it for, the F the A one, I'm going to substitute for F. So that's what I'm saying is most people, brothers, right, and sisters, they come into it and they're like, okay, we're in the key of E minor. Okay. They don't think G major, E minor, C major. They don't think 3. They don't think blues. They don't think every chord has a permutation. They don't think every chord, if you go into major, you can go into minor. These are a couple steps out. You know, I'll be on even on my saxophone, just lay down an ostinato and the whole band's rising and forth and I'm the only through line. But because I have that in my weaponry, I know that I can pull it out. Cool.
Martin, one question real quick. So you,
Sure.
as you were doing that, you were like, this is pentatonic. Was that pentatonic or no?
Well, what are we talking about? The CF thing?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, well the problem with that, this is where it starts to run into weirdness, right? Because I got a C in the right hand, a C in the left hand, chord, right? I got an A now, right? Chord. I have an F. So now I touch upon, this is the beginning, bro, of introducing the non-chord tones. Now when you have that F over C, right? That is a non-pentatonic note, okay?
Right.
And that's where you suddenly got to be like, okay, I can use this. If you want your melody to use that note at that time, it can work. I'm just saying if you want these chords to go against your melody bulletproof, I'd recommend your melody stay pentatonic.
Gotcha. Yeah, okay.
Right, because check it out. If I have, let's see, if I have any note, like say a D, this is how it sounds against a C. Right? The problem with F is this is how it sounds against an A.
Gotcha.
Now, I'm teaching theory essentials, trying to make it really easy, right? But the truth is, I personally can play every single note on any song at any single time, and no one will be none the wiser. Full stop. I use all the notes all the time. So when I think about that F, what I need you to think about with the F and the B, Brev, and we'll only talk diatonics, okay? Don't get me started with the non-diatonic notes. Just to stick with the white keys. That F and that B is like, they're the tensions. They're really hard, beautiful, anguished tensions, which I use all the time. But you got to know how to use them. You know, it'd be like, say Leon lets me borrow his car, right? And it's a Subaru. I know how to drive a Subaru. But if I go over his house and he's like, "Man, you want to borrow my car? I got a Mustang 6-pack, doop, that, keep that." You know, it's 454 Hertz shifter, boom. You know, like, dude, just go to the grocery store. I don't know how to handle that. Give me the Subaru. Now, if you want to talk, just because we're having fun about that F, its tension is really hard falling in. And this isn't part of the course. Course is over. Module's over. But check this out. That F falling into E is fa mi, fa mi do, fa la so fa mi. Powerful. Now in the minor, it's the flat 6. La do, re mi fa sol la. If you have A over an F over an A, it's the flat 6. Le. And this one I always do as my opera singer. Le so te le so te le so oh. Now that might not be your cultural reference point, but if I walk up to your sheet and I go do re, you're probably like, that's the fucking flat 6 because Martin's a weirdo like that. So yeah, you can use it. Now watch this. That's it with it being, that's it adding it to the pentatonic scale. That's where it's used against the 1 and the relative 6, right? But if you have that on the chord, listen to it. I'm going to play an A minor, and then I'm going to play an F major, and I'm going to sing F, okay? Right? Went from extreme tension to suddenly the 1. And I can't behoove you guys enough to take your vocalists, right? Give them the major arpeggio or the major chord change, make them sick all giggly, and put a minor one in. Put a minor chord progression in, have them record it. They don't know any better. You erase the track, you put in the opposite one. You can see, and I'm going to show you the screen again for just a second. I'm not trying to make us cookie cutter people, beautiful people, but I'm trying to make it so you're efficient and you can think clean. If you can build quickly, if you can do this in 25 minutes like I did today, then you can go get a coffee, come back and be like, you know what? Not only can I do 3 different chords per thing, build arpeggios and all this in a half an hour, which is more than 90% of the musicians working with Ableton and Pro are able to do. But since I can do it so quickly, now I can go back and let's change the sounds. Let's screw with this. Let's do it even a little more. I don't know how you guys work with your clients, but I'm usually like, you get a certain amount of time, you know? And I don't go, okay, that's good enough. If I get more time and you pay for the time, I go deeper and deeper. You give me $30,000 for a track, oh my God, it's gonna be amazing. Give me $100 for a track, my breakfast isn't gonna get cold. I'm gonna kick for it, but that's just how it goes. And so I wanted to show you guys as working professionals, look, F it, I didn't even bother. I just stacked the melody as you saw across. Boom. I didn't even bother sticking these things together in time because I want to hear them of their own right and I wanted to clear my ear. Then I can go back and be like, all right, we're gonna take this out, and we're gonna move this over there. Oh, let's see, we can take the ostinato, grab the whole thing, move the line. I'm talking not only cognizance of the power of the theory that I've shown you in the applications, but just as far as like how an easier workflow would be. All right, guys, so check this out. I am not good at, oh, yeah. Mark's been trying to get back in.
Oh, true.
Hold on, let's honor Mark, okay? All right, guys, I'm going to say this. When Mark comes back, we'll come back. I haven't figured out this breakout room thing, and the last thing I want to do is lose you, okay? So with your blessing, I'm just going to shut off video, mute, give you guys like 5-7 minutes to kind of talk about things, and then we'll come back, answer some questions. Just so you know on things also, Brev and I have been talking about this. You guys know I have my own company. Obviously, I know my theory. I made a zillion albums. I work through USM. I'm sure you've talked to other people. If there's any way I can serve you in any way, you know, get a hold of me. But what I'd like you guys to do right now in meditation, and then I'll give you space, talk about what you've got going on, introduce each other. You know, this is how we get work. Hey, Brev's cool. I don't know what I want him to do yet, but I'm going to get some money and ask him what he does, and then I'll pay him. Like, that's how we work. I'll give you guys a couple minutes, okay?
Where's Mark?
Hey,
Yo, what's going on?
hey, how are you?
Yeah, not too bad.
Not
Pretty
too bad,
good.
too.
How about yourself? How are you?
Not too bad.
I'm doing all right here.
Nice.
Yeah.
I think I was looking at some of your music the other day too, Brev. I thought it was pretty cool.
Were
Oh,
you?
I think did you do a video or something? Or
yeah.
Actually, people get really confused. If you Google me, you'll find that video
Hang on.
called Brev. That says Brev full album. That's not me. But
oh, true.
the animations are really cool. I actually got that. I showed up at a gig and they're like, those visuals you put out were really cool. And I'm like, what?
Oh wow, nice.
Yeah.
Advertising.
Yeah, I know. And that video only has like 1,000 views or
Are you
something.
songwriter? Are you songwriter?
Yeah, so I make like pop, R&B, electronic music, and songwrite. Yeah.
Are you a DJ?
Not exactly. Sometimes I get that a lot though, because my music
Okay.
really has that vibe, and I've definitely done like entertainment for places where I'm just kind of performing my stuff. I just run everything through Ableton though. I have a lot of instrumental stuff, and then I do some vocal art, vocal pop stuff too.
Wow, that should be
Nice.
great, bro.
Yeah, I'm trying to get a little more into DJing. Like once I feel like I'm a little bit more confident and doing more gigs, and then maybe I'll get asked to do DJ set and like already have some ideas for that. But I don't have like a DJ control or anything.
I'm looking forward to
same.
like get back in the decks because I used to do a lot of DJ gigs before, but because of Corona, so like I took a break.
Ah, true. Yeah, I used to work quite a bit as a DJ, but the last few years, not so much. I've been
What
focused
kind of
on
music you guys play,
some
by the
other
way?
things.
What kind of music you guys play, Leon? You play what in the decks?
Yeah, it depends. I mean, generally sort of club music, bangers and stuff.
Oh, bangers!
Bangers
Awesome!
for days.
I love bangers. We
Electro.
always
I mean,
love bangers.
people have different definitions of bangers, though. I think it's a very
I will
broad
love
definition nowadays.
Yeah.
But
Totally.
it's I mean, I used to get right into like sort of tech when I started to learn how to DJ.
I don't know how
Melbourne.
Melbourne people love techno so much.
Well, that was going back so many years ago. It was some of the first nightclubs I used to go to and stuff, and then that's where I met the DJ who taught me first how to sort of use the decks and stuff, and then from there sort of went into like more house music and
house
sort of
music.
electronic. And and then sort of over time, then it's sort of that's evolved, and now we've got trap and dubstep and
Those.
all these. I mean, I don't really.
I think they had dubstep
produce any
because
of that
they say
stuff at the moment.
dubstep is shit. They say that.
People say that, but I mean, it's all perspective, isn't it? It depends.
Yeah.
So I like some dub. There's a lot of dubstep that I
It
do
depends on the
like.
venue what you're working for. By the way, it depends on
Absolutely, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly right. Absolutely, that's the main sort of key. If I'm playing at a club and they've got, and they're playing sort of
that's your music.
main room sort of house in the main room, then yeah, that's sort of what you sort of go with, I think. But a lot of the time they'll sort of say, "Oh, we want you to play deep house," or "We want you to play."
Yeah, I think I'm much more into like deep house. Like there's some really cool, like you were saying, it's really subjective, but I like, like chiller DJ sets where it ends up being like,
Yeah, me too.
alternative R&B or just like chill hip hop stuff.
R&B too. R&B is great.
R&B,
I love
yeah,
R&B
R&B
DJ
and
set.
hip hop's
Makes
awesome
me
as
a
well.
little bit more personally, and that's what I'm trying to work on as far as doing DJ sets. Like I want to be a little bit more, but there's plenty of like great just EDM DJs that put together some hip hop stuff too. So
Yeah, sometimes.
Good people. How are we?
Pretty good.
Good, mate.
Good.
Hey, sorry, mate. I don't know what happened there.
Oh, I know. And it's funny. I get excited, I think, as you can tell, and then I'll see someone's been waiting in a room on the side here for a half hour. So,
I think that was me the other week.
yeah, it probably was, mate. Forgive me.
No, you're fine,
Yeah.
brother. It's all good.
I think my battery was flat on my phone, so apologies.
So, good people. That's a lot of data, and I really kind of meditated on trying to make it as clean as possible. Are there any questions? Do you want to go over any of this? Is there anything you want to discuss relative to what you breathed in?
I mean,
Yeah, let's
we're gonna
go
work.
around one at a time. So, Leon, you go first.
Are we going to work on some music, like with some of this stuff, theory, and put into practice as a session, or should we take that in our own time and maybe team up and sort of collab or something like that?
Yeah, okay, so I'm going to answer Leon's question first. Right now, how it is theoretically is Module 5 is, I would say, good people, go work on this material and put it into one of your pieces. And then what we would do is, remember 8th grade algebra, you had to show your math? What I would say is, like, Leon would be like, okay, I took this piece, this is the permutation I did, this is the arpeggio, this is when I used an ostinato, this is when I used just an ostinato, you know what I mean? This is my melody that's pentatonic. And then what we would do is we would review and discuss. I would both discuss the theoretical aspects and how things works and what I might recommend. And then I would also talk about just the basic artistry as far as phrasing, energy. How does your bass lines and stuff like that relate to like ancestral popular music that can move people's hearts? Like changing that thing to F, really beautiful. I know that works. Changing it to another chord might be interesting. Is it popular? Those would be the things we would do in review.
Okay.
Now, I have that scheduled for Module 5, and I'll just be frank with you. Right now, we're on Module 4. These are the first 4 that are free, and then that's the deal. There's a variety of different ways you can come into USM. I think there's a navigator pack. I think there's a cruise pack. I think they're seeing me separately. I'm not really into the sales push, beautiful people. This is what I offer and this is what I do. So if there's any way I can serve you, that's the ride. Relative to Module 5 going next week, I think that's what's we're gonna have a meeting and then kind of powwow up, you know, as far as whether that's gonna continue or not. Now that being said, y'all contact me individually and we talk. Do you know what I mean? That being said, you want me to see your tune and you want me to do it, great. You know, I can review that, you know, if we don't have Module 5. That being said, my job is to get Ozzy's work, and I've been doing that for the last couple of years since I've been here. Get me your stuff. Keep me in your mind frame. Plug people in. I'm saying this is like, here's USM. Here's us as mates in the whole world. Okay? Now, just to review further, and also, yeah, I'm just going to show you guys this on the screen one more time.
I'm just checking the song I've been working on, or one of the songs I've been working on in the chat as well. If anyone wants to have a gaze, feel free.
A couple things I was going to say too is working with me on stuff, whether it's through Theory Essentials, whether it's one-on-one or customized, whatever. That's a track. You know, ear training, all of these things I can provide and serve. I don't know what the cost point is, but I was talking to Brev about it earlier today, is jumping over into Tribe, if you're at this point where you want to get out there, I really highly recommend it. I think the price point is something low, so you can get in, but the fact that you're collaborating with other people, you know, at this age and time, and they have markers like you must get your song on the radio, you must have a presence up, you know, I would recommend jumping into that as well. I'm a little more customized and straight. It's my method's a little less peer. I'm like, all right, let's just go pro and run with it as soon as we can. But one thing I can't give you is mates. You know, I can give you all my mates, but you got to start really making your own networks. Now, I'm showing you this on the screen just to say this. Relative to this Theory Essentials.
We're only seeing your desktop, Martin, just so you know.
Oh, serious? Okay, I'm going to switch. Oh, yeah, you've seen desktop one. Thanks, mate.
Yep.
I'm grinning like an idiot at myself over and over. I think you can see in these good people, see these first 4 modules? Again, it's notes over time. This was really about notes. Down it for you, right? Down here, these 2, 6 and 7, these are really about rhythm. Rhythm from music and all over the world. And I don't know if you can see my hands, but I got 2 black dots on my fingers. And this is from playing djembe so much that my hands are bleeding, like way into rhythm from all over the world. These 2 go more into a harmony aspect, like putting counter melodies, like where you have 2 lines going at the same time. And then the other one we talked about was those inversions. First, second inversion, how they work. Again, the one that Mark and I talked about. Here's C major. Here's really C major. So, I know you guys have these modules. You can either study with me doing theory and ear training one-on-one. We can go over your work and work on branding. You know, I have Martin Case Media Productions and I go through USM. If you're a dork and you're just like, Martin, give me all your West African stuff or all your stuff from around the world. I'll hang out with you for an hour. Psyched to do that too. So, Leon, does that answer your question? Because I just went on a terrible rant.
I think so, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I forgot my question was there.
Yeah, no, I know. I went way off topic. Forgive me. Shalisa, do you have a question?
Me?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think my problem is, you know, like I can hear the notes. I can, yeah, I know what you play, but I don't know what's the name of that chord. Sometimes like that. You know, like, is there any tips to memorize all the theory? You know, memorize all the names? Because that's my problem is now.
You got to take it a chunk at a time, sister. Like here, I'm going to take one piece of theory right now that's not in your heart and place it in your heart, okay? 1, 4, 5 in A minor. Now the A minor chord, it's all white keys. 1, 4, 5, they're all minor. So now you know that, and you know how to call it, right?
Yeah.
Now you want to know what it sounds like. What does the sugar taste like in the kitchen? Now you've heard that 4 gazillion times. Da da da, gong gong gong, ke ke ke. Now I drove into your heart. Don 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 pe ke gong pe pe pe. Ba ba gu do 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 pe ke ke. Ba ba boom pe pe boom pe pe. 1, 4, 5. I've worked with people all over the world. A lot of them, we point up to talk about God a lot, draw pictures in the sand. Nobody speaks the same language, but they'll sing to you. And that's how you get it. I can't tell you how many places I've been with West Africans where they know that I can do ear training. And what they do at a party is they'll drag me and they'll bring me in the back room. And they're like, learn this song, learn this song. And there's usually an old guy there than a guy about my age. You know, I'm getting a little older, and that guy, the older guy, would yell at the younger guy to yell at me because they're like, this guy will memorize and know the song. And so they would teach me all these ancestral songs. And there was no theory. There was no explaining it. It was... And that's how you express it. That's how you would go across. So if you're asking me how to get this stuff so that it's under your fingers, attach ear training and attach an emotional response. I know for the rest of Leon's life, I can say substitute F major for A minor, man. Look what happened. Look what happened.
I'm going to get a tattoo on that now.
Look what happened. That's how you know it. That's how you get it in your heart. That's why do you think I was so stunned walking into a room to teach theory and there wasn't a piano? Couldn't believe it.
Huh? No
Oh, you might have missed that. I was just telling the story of when I first got to Australia. My first teaching assignment was with no piano to teach theory and ear training.
What?
I know. That's a whole other conversation aside. Chalisa, does that answer your question?
Yeah, I mean, like, that's how, like, I make my pieces so far. Rather than, like, see how theory goes. I feel like I prefer to use my imagination. Just that.
I don't understand.
Now,
Where do you use your imagination as opposed to...
Yeah, for example, like, I hear C-A-G rather, like, place my, like, fingers in C-A-G in the right octave. I place that in another octave. I mean, like, I prefer the improvisation. That's how it works. Yeah, rather than following, the rules, something like that.
I understand, but like...
That's how I mean.
That's improvisation too. Now, you think when I was 19, 18 years old, I could improvise like that? It's by knowing theory, but not being a dork, bringing the theory into your heart. Think about music as a language, okay? Mm-hmm. And I think this is really important for people who for that line of Shalisa that Shalisa just espoused was, you wouldn't learn a language by not listening to it and just saying what you say and expect to communicate. You wouldn't expect to get more mature unless your vocabulary got more mature. When I was a kid, I loved Van Halen. Still love Pink Floyd, and you can't take that away from me. Led Zeppelin's great. But now so is Wagner. So is Vance Joy. So is, a bunch of artists that I now understand because I have these tools. It's a deciding thing if you want to have a path. And I think the thing as professionals, you got to realize this. If you're just writing from your heart with the limited vocabulary you have, well, then best of luck to you. Because there's 5 zillion other people that are doing that just as well, with no theory, writing in a single key, with no tools theoretically that they have from their heart. And God bless them. But what I'm trying to do is to take select people that do have passion in their hearts, that are somewhat annoyed that they can't dig under. And by applying a little bit of theory, they can blow their own minds. And then they are as traditional musicians, they're masters of ecstasy. Not only can they put ecstasy into others, by just blowing their worlds with these substitutions, but they can infuse themselves with ecstasy. That piece that I just wrote there, I'm not that smart enough to sound that good. I use theoretical applications to write music for you guys, say in a half an hour. And when I listened to it with you, I enjoyed it and I almost cried. And I'm almost 50 doing this.
That's you.
Don't mean to get heavy and deep. Mark, did you have any questions or thoughts or anything?
Yeah. You there?
Yes, I am. And I know I'm over time, people. Are we all cool with that? I don't want to dishonor time.
Yeah,
Yeah,
mate.
no
Can
worries.
you hear me? Sorry, mate.
Yeah, I can. Mark, feed it on me.
Yeah,
Then.
usually I start off with a melody and then I bring in the chords or the chordal sort of form,
Yeah.
which is usually 1-4-5, or usually I put a fourth chord element, and then I'll have then I'll go from that to a bridge. You know.
There's a zillion ways to approach things. One of the things you missed before, Mark, was like I just took the melodies, just assumed and slapped it down. But what Mark's talking about is how I work most of the time. And so you get a melody, and it's like if you can get these. Here's the thing. This is where we get a melody like this. Mi re do so mi re do. Using harmony, I can think something like this.
Oh.
Now, when I got here, right, and I'll just tell you guys a quick story. I didn't know my theory that hardcore. I suddenly had to relearn Berkeley's theory and JMC's the theory in order to like write this curriculum. And I was like, shit, I better know what I'm doing. And so I found this thing called say you take a 1 chord, right? I found this thing called, it's advanced. It's a substitution. It's a flat 9 substitution. So instead of playing a G to a C, you can play a D flat 7. And I remember being in college being like, look, I'm trying to get laid and get jobs, and I don't have time to really think about this. I'll pass the course. But now, when I went back, I'm like, this is what it sounds like. And I'm like, written 3 songs on it in the last 6 months. One of my most badass things. It's a piece of theory that came across my life. I internalized and put it in my heart. Now it's part of my vocabulary. That's the biggest gift I can give you. Mark, I don't even know if I answered your question. I think I just agreed with you on how you approach it. Brett, did you have any comments or thoughts?
Not really. I think I just need to, kind of still keep working at. I've took some screenshots of every single one and just trying to really think about it more and assert that knowledge as I'm building stuff, which I think I've been doing a little bit with some of the songs I've been reworking. And yeah, I just want to keep gaining that so I can feel very confident when I'm just sitting down and playing. And like some of the stuff you were playing right there, it's like I can hear that going, on a video game, on whatever. And it's like, so I want it to be natural. Like I'm come up with some cool sounds in Ableton and I'm like, I'm ready to play something cool with this. And I end up regurgitating the same stuff I keep doing because like you were just talking about with the 1 key, or usually it's either pentatonic on all the black keys, or it's a C, or it's an F major. And I'm basically, I feel very limited. So I'm working.
So if you just keep the modules, the notes, and I know we're in contact, this brings you 3 steps away from your rut. And
right.
What's going to happen is you're going to apply these and you're not going to hear them. You're just going to apply them in theory and you're like, what the F is this? I don't know what's going to come out. And then your mind's going to be blown like you saw Leon with that A minor, the F major for the A minor substitution. And you'll be like, right. Then you won't need that. You won't need the math.
Right.
I don't need the math to go like this anymore. I got it. Now, 18 months ago, I didn't even know what the hell that sounded like. And I was terrified because I had to explain it to college kids. I got a little bit of gray hair. I had to act like I knew what I was doing.
Yeah.
Right? That's the joyous journey. And that's why I think, I graduated Berkeley a while ago, 30 years, man. I didn't have to study another piece of theory. I'd have been fine. Been better than most musicians out there on the planet. Young gun. But I look at this as like, it's a monk's journey. It's what happens is the better that I get, the more beauty that I bring. Just looking at Leon's face or Chalisa's face when I said, okay, substitution, Chalisa, this is how you make arpeggios, right? It's an endorphin rush. I really believe in the spirit warrior idea. Like, I'm out there warrior. I think like a martial artist. My hands are bloody today from work, but I'm killing different things.
Same a little bit on the guitar.
Me too.
Not as callous as yours, but you probably can't say it on cam, so I'm not going to show it off.
Yeah, no. I'm actually nervous about mine because I'm like, all right, Jesus. That's the problem with this quarantine thing. Get extra time. Brev, did that answer your question, mate?
Yeah, I mean, I think it was more observation than anything, but yeah, no, definitely. Like, I think it's just getting confident and really using it and practicing. So
Do it. That's why Module 5 is an exercise. Take a piece, build it. You're not going to hear this stuff beforehand. It's new tools. What does this sword do? Oh, I almost lost my finger. Okay, great. Do you know what I mean? Like, play in the kitchen, then put it in your heart. You saw me with Chalista. 145. Guys, I'm around USM. I've got your contact information. Stay in touch relative to how Module 5 goes next week, and we're going to posse up and to see how things go. I'm not one for hard sales. I'm not one for all that. If I can help you in any way, we'll figure out a working a way somehow, okay?
Oh, yeah, we'll speak to Steve during the week or something.
Yeah, I mean, my thing is Steve is the big guru guy, and we all know it. But if I approach him, with Leon, Shalista, Brev, I've already approached with Brev, and I've been like, just make this work.
Yeah.
I want to do this with this person. They're cool. Make it work. And that's his job. Okay? Okay, cool. Guys, any other questions, or I'll bid you good night?
yeah, that was amazing.
Yeah, good.
Thank you
Cool,
so
good.
My
Thanks.
friend.
Thank you. Thanks, Mark. Thanks,
Thank
Shalita.
you.
Thanks, Leon. Thanks, Brev. Cheers, guys.
Good night, everyone.
much. Bye.
Bye.
Night, everyone.
Have a good night. Later, mate. Have a good one.